the common question is, should I have sex with both genders to know whether I'm one sex is not going to help you. Yeah, in fact, the hijra system, if you know the word hijra, it comes from something which was like way in the early 200 years AD. Even in BC, in Egyptian times and all, they had this in between characteristics which were not male, not female.
Hi guys, this is Mindavan and you're watching TheHealthSite.com. Well, today's topic is something which is very less talked upon, despite being so important. People barely talk about it, and that is sexual health and the importance of sexual health. And today, to throw some light on that, we have with us Dr. Safala Shroff, MD Gynaecologist. Hi, Dr. Safala, how are you?
Hi, Minnie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm hoping the same for you.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Doctor, the agenda today is to bust some myths and, to answer the most embarrassing questions as per the society, which perhaps the society labels, but in actuality, these are something which are very important questions.
Absolutely.
So, to begin with, I think the very first question here today is, what is really meant by the term non-binary or the third gender? Because people really confuse it with other domains and, several other things. So let's just clear it once and for all.
Sure, Minnie. It's a very good question and a very common one, actually, especially in today's times. You'll see it commonly being used because we have so many social platforms where people interact and they have support groups and, peers, and they've never met these people in real life, but they meet them online, and these terms keep coming up. Now, to understand what is non-binary, firstly, you have to understand what is binary. Binary literally means two. So, the traditional, conservative way of looking at a sexual orientation, as what we call, is male and female gender, right? So when we are born, we are assigned you're either a male or you're female based on your reproductive anatomy. Now that may not align with the person as the person is growing up, because someone else defined that you are a male, someone else defined you're a female. Right. So when you're growing up, you may align yourself with, I don't think like all males. I don't have the same voice as, it should be for a male. So they define it in terms of physical characteristics, the emotional characteristics, and then there's a spectrum. So was born something called a gender spectrum. Now, when you see today's forms, the modern forms, you'll see male, female, others. I don't know if you've come across. Right. Even in the passports of, some Western countries, they have others. So they're giving the choice to you to decide which gender do you align yourself with. So if I don't mentally, emotionally feel I'm fully male, it's not just based on the reproductive anatomy. So cisgender is the terminology given to when you're male, female, like the traditional way. Otherwise, there are many other layers that are there: bisexual, queer, the LGBTQ, that whole spectrum. So some may find themselves somewhere partly male, partly female. They call them demigender. So, there are many terminologies. It keeps coming. But what is important for a person to know is that it's normal to feel that way. Many teens right now get confused. They get frustrated. They don't know how to share it with others. There is self-esteem goes down. It's important for a person to know, no matter what you feel, allow yourself to kind of, feel whatever you're feeling for a while. And it's time that kind of decides. Don't have to be on a rush to kind of think that you have to be labeled something.
But having said that, doctor, there are a lot of people in this day and age as well, where people themselves are confused with regards to, how are they feeling, what are they attracted to? Because there is, of course, due to the lack of knowledge and awareness. So how can a person be sure of the fact if they are bi, or if they're straight, gay? Is there something in particular which, we can aid to people with regards to knowledge?
Yeah. So again, Minnie, excellent question. And first, whoever is asking this question, let them know that, they're not alone in asking this question. This question is very common amongst today's generation. More because of modernization, the way we are. It's not something that you can really choose to be. Some do that. Some choose to be gay. They may or may not feel that they are, but they choose to be because of peer pressure, because they've read and they like the idea of being gay. That's experimentation. So many people, you'll find that, oh, I was straight, now I'm bi, I'm back to being straight. There's a general fluidity that happens as well. So no one really understands scientifically. If you're asking me, is there a way to guide them by scientifically telling them, listen, there's a checklist. If you tick this checklist, you'll probably determine your sexual orientation, and you'd know you're gay or you're bi. The common question is, should I have sex with both genders to know whether I'm, one sex is not going to help you. Yeah, that becomes a part of the sexual exploration. And by all means, if that's something that you choose to do it. However, don't let all these things affect you psychologically. Don't let it affect you and pull you down mentally. Again, it comes down to putting yourself in a cookie box, like I am label X, right? So this is a part of a process. And it's important for people to know that there is nothing which you don't find it's a Western, many, traditional families will say this is a Western, aspect, which is now because India is becoming modern, our children are also thinking that way. Not so. I don't think so. In fact, the Hijra system, if you know the word Hijra, it comes from something which was like way in the early 200 years AD. Even in BC, in Egyptian times and all, they had this in between characteristics which were not male, not female, being gay. These things were there. Having even our Khajuraho temple will depict same-sex kind of sculptures. So what I'm trying to say is that try not to be someone that you think you should be. Don't let it affect yourself, cause physical, emotional pain in your life. Question yourself, by all means, try and see how this process, it's linked to what we talked about as, whether you're non-binary or, you fall into a male or female. Be patient with yourself. Let time figure it out and be happy and comfortable in that process. That's what I say. So don't go looking for a checklist. Don't go looking for scientific things that if I have certain features, I fit into this category. I'm physically more feminine. There are many effeminate boys who have very good marriages and live a straight life. Just because they speak like a woman or they talk like a woman doesn't necessarily categorize them to being gay. So this kind of thinking has to change, and I think that's slowly happening. And there are many forums, which people get good information. At the same time, you have to be cautious not to be over on these forums that kind of, it's not what you feel, it's what others are feeling. You should be a little responsible to yourself for that.
Well, thank you so much for debunking all the myths today and answering all the questions and enlightening our viewers with all this wisdom and awareness. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Minnie. You asked all the so-called taboo questions in a short time, and I'm happy to have answered the same.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.